Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. Which country in South America recently resurrected the region's oldest beer? We'll have the answer later. An explosion occurred in Ecuador's port city of Guayaquil. Authorities are calling the blast an attack by organized crime. 24 hours after the incident, 5 people were killed and 20 injured. Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso declared a 30-day-long state of emergency for Guayaquil. Officials say those responsible are organized crime mercenaries involved in illicit drug trafficking, and that the blast is being taken as a declaration of war against the state. In Mexico, attempts to rescue 10 men from a flooded mine have been met with several obstacles. The biggest issue is that water has been flowing into the coal mine, making it impossible to rescue the miners. Officials have not been able to locate the source of the leak. It's been almost 2 weeks since the disaster at the coal mine in the state of Coahuila began. Relatives of the trapped miners are expressing frustration at the slow pace of recovery efforts as the situation is a race against time. And check out these long lines in Santiago, Chile. People here are waiting to receive a copy of the proposed new constitution. The draft was written over the course of an entire year by a specially elected assembly of 154 members. In September, Chileans will have to vote in a referendum for or against the constitution to make it law. But first, they're being encouraged to read it and learn more about it. Let's go to my colleague Dan Collyns in Peru, where President Pedro Castillo has had a challenging few weeks.
Michelle, with every passing week, President Pedro Castillo appears more under siege. He faces 6 criminal investigations, including 3 looking into whether he belongs to a, quote, criminal organization. But the former schoolteacher who ran as a leftist candidate in the 2021 general election remains defiant. While polls show around 70% of Peruvians disapprove of Castillo's leadership, the unpopularity of the country's opposition-dominated Congress is far higher, at around 87%. Castillo cannot be charged while in office, but members of his family and inner circle who've been implicated in the same alleged circle of corruption do not enjoy that protection. Castillo's sister-in-law, Jennifer Paredes, turned herself in last week, the day after prosecutors and police raided the presidential palace searching for her. Prosecutors ordered the 26-year-old's preliminary detention for allegedly being part of a money laundering ring. Meanwhile, over the weekend, the governments of Mexico, Argentina, Ecuador and Bolivia issued a statement backing Castillo's continuation as President of Peru.
Now let's take a look at the stories we're following for next week. Colombia's government and the ELN have agreed to restart peace talks. Newly elected President Gustavo Petro sent a high-level delegation to Cuba to meet with a representative of the National Liberation Army. Peace talks between Colombia's previous government and the ELN were terminated in 2019 after rebels killed more than 20 cadets in a car bomb set off at a police academy in Bogotá. We'll be following any advancements made in these talks. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is B. Did you know yeast can remain dormant? That's why Ecuadorian bioengineer Javier Carvajal was able to make a beer with 400-year-old yeast found inside an old oak barrel. The yeast is believed to be part of Latin America's oldest beer. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.